Are you finding any disturbances? Am I audible?
Little voice, like voice is not so much clear.
Is it clear now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, fine. Hi, welcome back and let's start. So what are the topics that we have covered in the last class? Can anybody say about that? What we completed in the last class? What are the discussions that we have done? Anybody? Anybody say me what we have completed last class? Guys, I'm waiting for your response. Okay. Sure, you are just now started or else did you attend the last class? Am I audible to you? Again, I'm asking.
Yes.
Please respond for the same for the concept. So whatever I'm asking. So what we have completed in the last class, can anybody say about that? I think we have completed AWS geographical global infrastructure. Okay, so we completed the AWS global infrastructure and data center architecture. These are the concepts that we have completed in the class. Today we need to understand the concept, the primary concept that is called as networking. So we need to complete this. What is the network and how network can be configured? These are all the concepts that we have to complete. So how we can do that? So if you can see here, what is meant by networking? Why we need to understand networking? In the last class only, I said you about the networking concept. What is meant by how we have to configure all these things we have seen in the last class. So today, why? So today my agenda is you need to understand what is meant by network, what is meant by IP address, and what is meant by subnet mask. Then what is meant by subnetting. I'm not going very in depth into the networking concepts, but yes, we need to understand all these things. So before you go into all the other things, you need to understand what is meant by network. So network means it is a combination of multiple devices. Connectivity, it is a connection between multiple devices. I have to say the connection of multiple devices with the help of a transmission media is called as networking. So connecting multiple devices. Okay. So for example, you are having a computer. And in the office, you are having multiple computers, 10 computers are there. So I want to transmit a file from one computer to the another computer. How I can transmit that? Definitely, I need to have a connectivity. For example, inside a company, you are having a computer. From this computer, we want to transmit file to the other, send a file to the other. How you can send? You have to send it the cable connection, any connection, a Wi-Fi connectivity, also a cable connection.
Hello.
Yes.
Your voice is not clear.
For each and everyone, my voice is not clear, but for you, the voice is not clear. Just tell me. So I want the response from the other guys also. Does my voice is not clear for you, or else for
yes, yes, voice is not clear for me.
And doing echo also.
Okay. Now is it clear for you? It's echoing. Okay. Now is it clear for you?
Yes.
I am in a closer room. Okay. So we need to understand the concept, that is, what is this network? Why we need to understand the network? Basically, the servers which you are creating inside the AWS, whatever the servers that you are creating, whatever the instances that you are creating, whatever the databases that you are creating, everything are created in the remote locations. in the data centers in different remote location. You might be configuring the servers in US location, America location, or London location, or Mumbai location. But your office will be in Hyderabad location or Bangalore location. From here, if you want to communicate with the another servers, how can you communicate? So the data has to be transmitted all over from your computer to the another computers. From here, it has to transmit to the another computer. How it can be transmitted? So with the help of the networking configurations. So if you are having the network configuration, through network configurations, we can transmit the data. So this data can be transmitted from one computer to the another computer through a cable or else through a transmission media. For example, you are staying in India and your friend is staying in America. Now, if you want to call your friend, then there should be a connectivity. So either it might be mobile signals or else it might be a landline connectivity. In the same manner, for the computers also, for the servers also, if you want to transmit the data, then definitely you need to have a connectivity. Now, the second thing is, from one computer to the another computer, if you want to communicate, then you need to have a numberings. Number should be there. So what is this number? This number is nothing but an address, nothing but your IP address. So a logical number will be given to your computer. For example, just let me take an example. You and your friend is having mobiles. Both of you are having the mobiles and there are signals. But if you don't have your friend's mobile number, you cannot call to him. And if your friend doesn't have your mobile number, he will not call to you. So numbers are very important. In the same manner, here also, if I want to transmit the data from one computer to the another computer for communication purpose, for accessing the servers, each and everything, we need to have a address, and that address is called as IP address. So this IP address is very, very important for communication purpose. So if I want to transmit the data from one computer, or else if I want to establish the communication between the servers, or else if I want to establish the communication between the client and the server, then definitely I need to have the IP address. Without IP address, the communication will not be established. So one thing you need to understand here is, here everybody will be using network whenever internet. So what is this internet? Can anybody say me about this? What is meant by an internet? What is internet, guys? Everybody know about this, right? Internet, we will, from morning onwards, we will start with the internet.
The
So
web
what is an
pages
internet?
we can access.
Transferring the data from one place to another place.
So internet is nothing but a collection of multiple networks. Internet is not about the web pages. Internet is not about the transmission of data. Internet is nothing but it is a collection of networks. What is meant by that? For example, there is a server. There is a server. This is your Google server or Facebook server or Instagram server, whatever you call it as. There is a server here, or else any e-commerce website is there. Now, if you want to access this, if you don't have the internet, you cannot access this. But what is this internet? Internet means this server might be created in US location or UK location, any another location. For example, it is created in US. Now, there is a client. He want to access that e-commerce website. Now, he will send the request. How a client will send the request? If I go to here, I will type amazon.in. If I give this URL, I'm going to get the web page. From where I am getting the web page? From the server, I am getting the web page. From here, I am getting the web page. If I don't have internet connectivity, see, there is no connection. So now I cannot get any data. But if there is a connectivity, here you will have multiple routers. Here you will have multiple networks. So if there are so many networks, you will have multiple paths also. The data will be transmitted in the multiple paths. So in this manner, it can be transmitted in this manner. It is purely networking, guys. It will not function as your cloud. But if you don't understand this, it is very difficult to you to understand the cloud. Okay, so likewise, I will be transmitting the data towards my server like this. Okay. Now this is called as an internet. Collection of multiple networks is called as an internet. Now what is this multiple network? What is meant by, first of all, we need to understand network. Network is nothing but a connectivity. So from one end to the another end, from source to destination, destination to source, if there is any connection, then that is called as a network. In general, there are two types of networks. One is physical network, and the other one is logical network. Physical network means connecting the devices physically. Like I am having computers. For computers, I will be able to connect with the cables. For example, so what I will do, let me show you that so that you can have a clarity. If you see here, now I will show you this. So this is a company infrastructure. Whatever you are seeing here, this is a company infrastructure. Now, if you can see, there are so many different things are there. What are the things that are there inside this? Is downloaded. See here. So from internet, you will be connected to your server, and the server will have different servers. So one server is connected to the other server, and these servers are accessed by your devices like that you are having. This is the company network, where one server is connected to multiple servers as well as to your clients. Now, this is the physical network. Connectivity of the computers and through the cables is called as your physical network. But there is one more network that is called as logical network. Here you are having a logical network. So simply, if I have to give an example for you, for example, you are the students of DURGASOFT. Physically, you are the students of DURGASOFT. When you come to the DURGASOFT, what they will say, you have opted for AWS course, and some other students will be opting for some other courses like Python. Now, if anybody from outside, if they ask you physically, in which institute you are studying, you will say that I am studying in DURGASOFT. But logically, if you say here, you are into the multiple different network categories. How can I say that? Because you are a student of AWS. So the student of Python classes cannot sit in the AWS classes. But if anybody asks you, physically you are staying in DURGASOFT. But logically, if you say in DURGASOFT also you are into a separate class, that is AWS class. So physical networks are different from the logical network. Through the cable connectivity, we can create the physical networks, but logical networks are configured with the help of IP addresses, which will differentiate the devices. With the help of IP address, we can differentiate the logical network. Now, here, what is meant by an IP address? As I already said you, it is very important. IP address is helpful for you to make the communication. Now, what is this IP address? IP address is a 32-bit logical address. So there are two types of IPs. One is IPv4 and the other one is IPv6. Now, there are two types of IP addresses. One is IPv4 and the other one is IPv6. We don't discuss about the IPv6 addresses. We don't discuss about IPv6 addresses. We only discuss about IPv4 addresses. Why? Because still we don't have that communication. Still we don't have that usage. We are not using IPv6 addresses. We are only using the IPv4 addresses. So if I have to say about IPv4 address is a 32-bit logical address. So bits means binary numbers twice. So it is in computer technology terminology is a 32-bit logical address, helps you to communicate, helps you to transmit the data. Now, what is this bits? So in computer technology, bits will be in the form of binary format. So you will have 32 ones or 32 zeros, or you will have a number of combinations. So the combination will be like ones and zero. With ones and zero, you will have the numbers. Now, what I am saying here, IP address is a 32-bit logical address, which means you will be having 32 binary numbers, ones and zeros. Now, these 32 bits are further divided into 4 octets. The 32 bits are divided into 4 octets. Now, if I divide the 32 bits into 4, then how many bits you will have in a single octet? How many bits you will have in a single portion?
8.
Exactly. 8 bits you will have. 32 divided by 4 means in each octet we have 8 bits. We have 8 bits. And these bits, by combining these bits, we will get a number. We will get a number, and that number will be in the human readable format. That is our decimal language, or decimal number system. Now, if you see here, what I am saying, 32 bits, either they will be in the form of ones and zeros, or else there will be only zeros and there will be only ones. So, if a number is written like this, for example, 8 zeros are there. Now, what is this number in decimal format? If I convert this, now this is in the binary format. If I convert this number into the decimal format, what is the number that I am going to get here? So there are all zeros, means in the decimal format also there is 0. But if there are all ones, in the binary format, then in decimal format, what will be the number? If there are all ones in decimal format, what will be the number? Did you go through the binary to decimal conversion? I asked you to go through that. Did you go through that? Response.
It's come one all decimal.
If there are all ones in the decimal
2 raised to 8.
format,
2 raised to 8. 2 raised to 8. 2 raised to 7, sorry, 2 raised to 7.
okay. So in the decimal format, it will be represented in the form of 255. It is not 2 power 7, 2 is to 7. It is 255. How you are saying this? So whatever the numbers that you are having in the octet. So here I am having 8 ones. Now, if I convert these 8 ones, these binary bits into the decimal format, how can you convert that? So if I want to convert that, then what I can do is multiply these numbers with 2 powers. So that is 1 into, from right to left I am coming guys, 2 power 0, 1 into 2 power 0, plus what I can say here, 1 into 2 power 1, plus 1 into 2 power 1. Like that, you will be going with this. So what I will do is I put the configurations like this, plus 1 into 2 square, plus 1 into 2 cube, plus 1 into 2 power 4, plus 1 into 2 power 5, plus 1 into 2 power 6, plus 1 into 2 power 7. If you go with this, what is the number that you are going to get? See, you have to multiply these numbers with 2 powers. So I am multiplying once with, so 1 dot, 1 dot, so whatever I am having, whatever you are having, all these numbers will be multiplied with the 2 powers. So how can you multiply? If you multiply them, what is the value that you are going to get? So if you multiply 2 power 7, 2 power 7 means 128. 1 into 128 means 128 only. Plus 2 power 6 means 64. 1 into 2 power 6 means 64. Plus 35, sorry, plus 32, plus 16, plus 8, plus 4, plus 2, plus 1. If you convert all these numbers, if you add all these numbers, the final output which you will get is 255, which means in an IP address, the range of IP address numbers in the human readable format, the range of IP addresses will be starting from 0 to 255 only. For example, let me deploy a mission here. Or else I will try to, in an easy manner, I will try to explain it. Now what I will do here is, I will try to assign an IP address. So I will go to my adapter. This is my computer adapter. Now what I will do, I will try to assign the IP address 192. It will accept it. But if I go with 256, what it is saying, 256 is not a valid entry. So your IP address ranges will be in each and every octet, the numbers, what is the highest number that you can have in an IP address is 255 only. If you give the 256 number, the number will not be accepted by your computer or else your server. So the highest number the server will accept or else the computer will accept is 255 only. Okay. So what I am saying, this IP address is divided into 4 portions. This IP address is divided into 4 portions. So each portion is called as an octet. So how we will represent the IP address? X dot Y dot Z, or else I will go with like this. This A dot, B dot, C dot, D. So the A value will be from anything 0 to 255 dot. Again, you will have any number 0 to 255. The range will be 0 to 255 dot. For the 4 octets, you will have this range 0 to 255 dot, 0 to 255. So any number can be there. So for example, if I want to show you my computer IP address, how can I show you that? IP config. See that my computer IP is 192.168.1.23. So if you see here, there is no number larger than 255. All the numbers are below 255 only. Now, that says that in the IP addresses, in each octet, in each portion, you will have the numbers that are ranging from 0 to 255 only. Okay. Do you understand the concept here? Do you got it? Why 255 should be there? Do you got the answer here? Any doubts? Questions?
No.
Any questions? Okay. Now, as you can see, my computer is assigned with an IP address, right? So if you can see here, in a company, there are so many computers. In a company, there are so many computers, not a single one. We will have multiple computers. When we are having multiple computers like this, and we are having multiple computers, now each and every computer will be equipped or else given with an IP address. Okay, that is well and good. Let me show you like this. I will give an IP address called as 192.168.1.1, and the second IP address of my another computer is 192.168.1.2, and for the other computer I will provide 192.168.2.1, and the third computer or fourth computer I will provide 192.168.2. somewhere like 3. And for the final computer, what I will do here is I will configure 10.100.1.100. This is the IP address which I am giving for my third computer or else final computer. Now my question here is whether all computers are in the same network or also whether the computers are in the different. How can you say this? For example, let me tell you, these are all the students. So for example, let's just try to understand these blocks are nothing but the students. For example, for the student, what I will do, I will provide AWS 01. This is the roll number of the student. And for the other students, I will provide AWS 02. For the third student also, I will provide AWS 03. But for the fourth student, what I will do is Python 04. Here, what I will do, Python 09. Like that, I will provide the number. Now, can you tell me whether all the students belongs to the same class or else they belongs to the different classes? As per you see here, how you can say that whether they belong to the same class or different class, whether the students belongs to the same class or different class. Just an example I am giving it to this. Don't get confused again. Yeah. Can you tell me which students or else which blocks belongs to the same and which blocks belongs to the different?
All belongs to different.
First 3 belongs to AWS classes and next 2 belongs to the Python classes. So here how you are differentiating, you are having brain so that you can simply differentiate that as a humans we are having brain. We will tell some work to the brain to work it out. So by looking into the, okay, here before the number we are having a constant name that is called as AWS. So this student belongs to a particular network or else particular class called as AWS. Okay, this is well and good. Now, if you see here, we are configuring IP addresses to each and every computer. For all the computers, we are configuring the IP addresses. Now, whether all computers are in the same network or different network, How we can say that? To say this, whether this belongs to the same network or different network, we are having a specialized address. Again, for the IP address, to say IP address belongs to the same network or different network, we are having a concept called as subnet mask. This subnet mask will helpful for you to divide an IP address into which block of IP address belong to the network portion and which block of IP address belong to the host portion. Here you got a new words. What is that? Network and host. Hosts are nothing but the devices. Okay, you will come to know slowly. Now, what is this subnet mask? If you see here, what I will do, we'll try to explain you, but before I explain you, if you check out the proper definition from this, you will be very, very satisfied. So what is subnet mask? A subnet mask is a 32-bit number created by setting host bits all to zeros and setting network bit all to ones. So what they are saying, a subnet mask is a 32-bit number. It is in subnet mask also. In IP address, you will have 32 bits. In the same manner, in the subnet mask also, you will have 32 bits. Okay, so what they are saying, a subnet mask is a 32-bit number created by setting host bits to all zeros. So we are setting our host bits. Host bits are nothing but the devices, or else those are called as. So in networking, hosts are nothing but devices, computers, servers, these are all called as hosts. So in general, if I have to define host, any device which is having an IP address is called as host. Any device, either it might be a server, it might be a computer, it might be a laptop, it might be a cell phone, it might be a printer. So all are called as IP, all are called as host. Why? Because each and every device will be having the IP address. Now, what is meant by network? Here you can see the students. If you see here, these students are called as, for the class perspective, if I say all these students are called as host. These are all called as host. But this particular class, which class they are attending, this is called as network. Okay, so the network numbers should be constant, but the host numbers should be different. So all the host numbers should be different numbers should be there, but the network number should be constant. I did not understand this, sir. So can you get me clear it out? So let us see. So what subnet mask will do? A subnet mask is a number. So what it is doing here, if you see here, is subnet mask is a number that distinguishes the network address and host address within an IP address. So what subnet mask main task is that, so whenever an IP address is given to a computer, for example, 192.168.1.100, this is the IP address which I am providing for a computer. So in this IP address, we are having 4 portions. In IP address, we have, there are 4 portions. Among the 4 portions, which portion belongs to network, which portion belongs to network, and which portion belongs to host can be given by subnet mask. With the help of subnet mask, you can differentiate the host and network portion. How I can differentiate that? It is very simple. Now, what is 255? What I said, 255 means if there are all ones in an octet, there are all ones in an octet in the decimal format, that is called as 255, right? For example, 192.168.1.100. This is the IP address that I am giving. For example, let me show you. I will go to my computer and I will configure the IP address. Or else you can see here also. CMD IP config. If I give this command, you can see the output as IP address is 192.168.1.23. Below you are having as a number that is called as subnet mask. Without this subnet mask, you cannot provide the IP address. If you provide the IP address to the computer also, without the subnet mask, the computer will not accept the IP address. Let me show you that. So we go to properties. If you go to the properties, use the following IP, that is 22.168.100. And if you see here, automatically the subnet mask will be coming. You click here, automatically the subnet mask will come. But if I remove this subnet mask and click OK, see that you have entered an address that is missing its subnet mask. Please add subnet mask. That much important is the subnet mask. If you don't give the subnet mask, your computer will not accept your IP address. Why? Because subnet mask decides which portion of IP address belongs to the network and which portion of IP address belongs to the host. So without subnet mask, it will be very difficult for the computers to decide which portion belongs to different network and host portions. So when you see here, this is the IP address. For this IP address, I am giving 255.255.255.0. Now my question here is, as I already said you that in networking terminology, one is represented as network bit. One is represented as network and 0 is represented as host bit. Now, if you can see, this is in the binary form, sorry, this is in the decimal format. That is 255, 255, 255 is there. If I convert this subnet mask into the binary format, what is the number that I will get? If I convert this number, if I convert this decimal number into the binary format, what is the output that I am going to get? Here,
1111.111.111.0.
For in the subnet mask, the first subnet will completely belongs to the all ones. 8 ones will be there, right? So like this. And in the second portion also you will have all ones. In the third portion also you will have all ones. But in the fourth portion, if you see, you will have 8 0. Now, what I am saying, one represent the network bit. Now you can call this as a network portion. Isn't it true or not? As per networking terms, one is called as a networking bit. Now, if you see here, in this octet, we are all having the ones only. We are having ones only. When there are only ones, then it is called as a network portion. And in the second also, we are having the all ones. And in third also, we are having all ones. Which means that subnet mask will decide this. There are 3 network portions in the IP address. These first 3 are the network portion. And last is the device identifier. This belongs to the device. This number, whatever the number that you are seeing here, this belongs to the device. For example, if you see this, in this roll number, which is the identification of the student? This 01 is the identification of the student. If anybody from outside come into my class and ask me that I want to meet AWS 05 student, if they say that, they are identifying with the number called as 05. So AWS is constant for each and every student. But what is changing here? Their roll numbers are changing. Here the numbers are changing, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on up to 255. The numbers are changing, but what is constant? The students in my class will be identified with the help of this AWS network only, with this AWS term only. In the same manner, what I want to say here, if there are so many computers in my office and all the computers will have 192.168.1.10 and 192.168.1. Some 125 or else 25, 192.168.1. Some 35, like that. I am having so many IP addresses for my computers. So for this all computers, if the subnet mask is same, that is 255, 255, 255.0, then what I can say, all these computers belongs to the same network only. If you see here, the first 3 octets of the IP addresses are same. Among all these computers, for all these IP addresses, the first 3 octets are same. What is differing? Only the last number is differing. The identification for your devices is differing. If you see here you are having 100 as your computer identification. If you see here, you are having 10. the identification is not repeated, but what is constant here? The network is constant. For example, there is another computer 192.168, some 100 dot or also some 10.25 is the IP address which I am providing for this computer. Now the subnet mask for the computer is 255.255.255.0. Now can you tell me whether this IP address, now can you tell me whether this IP address which is 192.168.1.100 and this IP address 192.168.10.25, whether they belongs to the same network or different network? Can you tell me whether they belongs to same or different?
Same network.
Any another answers? Any another answers? Whether they belongs to the same network or different network?
Same network.
You need to concentrate more.
Different network because first three belongs to same. So
Yeah, you are in the right track. So they belongs to the different network. Why? Because the what is subnet mask representing? Subnet mask represents the network portions of the IP address. If you see here, there are three network portions, which means that subnet mask is saying to IP address that the first three network portions of the IP addresses should be same. If they are, if the devices are called that they are in the same network, if they call, if I want to say these two devices are in the same network, then what I need to do, I need to check the network portions. If you see here in the first IP address, the first two octets are same. In this IP address, the first two octets are same, and in this IP address also first two octets are same. But what about the third octet? If you see here, the third octet is different. Here you are having 255.255.255.0, which means that subnet mask is saying that in your IP address, 3 octets should be same. Then only you can call the IP addresses are in the same network. If any one of the octet is in the different network or a different number, then you can say that they belongs to the different network. Okay, is it clear now? Any doubts?
In first IP address 192.168.1.100 and in last 192.168.10. Both in both IP address subnet mask will be same for both, no?
Yeah, subnet mask is same. Subnet mask is same means that that doesn't represent that both are in the same network. Subnet mask will represent, will differentiate the network. The work of subnet mask is to differentiate the network and host portions inside the IP address. But if you see, I can make like this also. If subnet mask is same, that doesn't represent that both belongs to the same network. Subnet mask doesn't have any work with the network and network in doesn't have any work with the device network configuration. It have work to only to differentiate the IP addresses. So this is whether the IP address belongs to the same network or different network is the only work of the subnet mask. But subnet mask will not. If subnet mask is same, what is it? There is nothing. It is the main functionality is to differentiate the network. It is differentiated the network. So it is saying that in this IP address, the first three are the networks and the last is the host. So in this also the first three are the network and the last is the host. The work is done. Now it is the computer responsibility to understand, okay, here in the first octet, I am the IP address is having 192 and here also it is having 192, which is similar. Okay, that's well and good. But if I go to the second octet, here also 168, it is well and good. Now here, if you see here, I am having 1. So subnet mask is saying that the third octet is also same if two IP addresses should be same. Will be called in the same network, then the third octet should be same. But if you see here in the third octet you are having 1, here you are having 10, which means that this computer, one computer is in one network and the other computer is in the another network. So the subnet mask work is to differentiate the network and host portions. That's it. After differentiating that, it is the responsibility of the network administrator or else the computers to identify whether the devices, whether the opposite device belongs to the same network or different network. Okay. So that is what I want to say about the subnet mask and the IP address. Any other questions? Questions, guys?
No, any question from my side.
Okay. So after
One more
this
clarification. So
Sorry.
one clarification, sir, like the network IP is like 255. I mean, subnet IP is like 255.255.255.0, right? So it means that whatever the network that any IP has, it belongs to that, right? Like as 255 is the maximum one, and the three, all the three has 255. It means whatever the network, whatever the IP, IP's network belongs to those three only. They
Not
cannot
all.
be extended further, right?
It is, yeah, we can extend it further. We can increase the IP addresses also. But here the thing which, and what I want to say here, the numbers will not be extended beyond 255. The IP address. So here you are comparing these two are same. Don't think IP address and subnet mask are same. First thing is that both are different. IP address and subnet mask are different. This is the address which helps the IP address to differentiate the network and host portions. So subnet mask is nothing. So it is not a part of the IP address. It is also, it will help the IP address along the IP address which portion belongs to the network portion and which portion belongs to the host portion. That's it. That is the main work of your subnet mask. Apart from this, subnet mask is not included in your IP address. So the only work of the subnet mask is to differentiate the network and host portion. That's it. Apart from that, it doesn't have any another work. Okay. So what is your question here? You are asking me that whether the subnet mask will be extended further, like 256, like that. That is what your question is, right?
So asking whether the subnet mask is extended. So 255 is the maximum number, right? So
Yeah.
I'm asking, like, let's say my IP address is 192.168.1.1. So whatever the IP address I choose or someone gives, that will surely falls under that subnet, right? Like, I mean, in the
There will be
case of
some default, there will be some default subnets. See, for each and every network, whatever the network that you are, whatever the IP address that you are seeing, 192.168.1.100, this is one of the IP address. So here I can specify the subnet as 255.255.255.0, or else I can specify the subnet as 255.255.00, or else I can go for 255.00 also. Like that, I can specify the subnets also. If at all, if I am specifying these subnets, so what I have to do here, if you see here, how many zeros are there? These zeros represents your host bits. So it will be extended. The number of devices inside a network can be extended. So by decreasing the subnet, by decreasing the network value and increasing the host values, you can increase the number of devices that are connected in a single network. For example, if you see here, so this is the subnet mask, whatever you have given. In this subnet mask, how many devices you can connect. So actually, you need to understand one more thing. These subnet masks are helpful for you to understand how many devices you can create inside this network. How many devices. So how you can understand that? Depending upon the zero value will represent the devices, right? So how many zeros are there? If I convert it into the binary format, there are 8 zeros. 8 zeros means how many devices you can connect in this network. In the single network, you can connect up to 2 to the power of 8, that is equal to 256 devices. And when you coming back to the second subnet here you can see there is another subnet. So these are the subnets that are there inside the networking. You will come to know there are so many subnets you can provide. Not only these are the default subnets, whatever you are seeing here, these are all the default subnets. Apart from this, we will be having like this 255.155.192.0, 255.255. Somewhere like 128.0. Like that, you will be having different subnet categories. But these are whatever you are seeing here, these are all the default subnets. So if you see here, there are how many zeros are there? 8 zeros are there. So if you see here in one octet, you are having 8 zeros. In the another octet, you are having 8 zeros. By combining these two zeros, you will be getting 16 host bits. 2 to the power of 16 means how many devices you can connect if the subnet mask is looking like this. 2 to the power of 16 means 65,536 devices or else 36 IPs will be generated. So here you can see how many devices, 256 devices, if at all the subnet mask is looking like this. But when you come to here you can connect 65,000 devices. If you see here, how many zeros are there? There are 24 zeros. If I convert this subnet mask into the binary format, how many zeros are there? 24 zeros are there. So 2 to the power of 24, that is what, 1,67,77,216 devices you can connect. Okay, these many number of devices you can connect inside if the subnet mask is looking like this. You will come to know, but still, I just want to make sure that whether you are able to understand. I will clear out all your doubts once we get back into the concept. But what is my condition? If you go here to 55 to 55 to 55, why this subnet mask is helpful for you? First thing is this subnet mask is helpful for you to differentiate the IP address, whether the IP address, if two IP addresses are given, whether these two IP addresses belongs to the same network or different network. For that purpose, the subnet mask will be helpful. And apart from that, there are so many utilizations. What are the utilization? How many devices we can configure inside this network can be given by your subnet mask only. This is also one of the useful things that can be done with the subnet mask. Now, did you understand? Is it satisfied for your? Is it the satisfying answer for your question, or still you are expecting anything?
Yes.
Go on. What is your question? I did not understand properly. Can you repeat it again one more thing so that I can have a clear-cut understanding? I'll go further with us.
I'm asking, like, let's say the first line and third line are IP addresses, right? Some computers IP addresses.
Yes.
I'm asking, like, this subnet is the end thing for these two. I'm asking, like, 254 is the end IP, last IP for the first and third line. I'm asking this.
No, it is not. Don't compare this. This is not the IP address. Again, I am saying this subnet mask is not the IP
I understood
address.
it now. Like, that is my question.
Yeah, fine. Any further questions apart from this? Did you understand the concept now?
Yes, Chaitanya sir. I have just one question. Maybe silly question. Like, suppose we have IP address that 192.168.1.100, right? Suppose we have configured that, and we have a subnet default subnet 255.255.250. So each subnet is modifiable, or we cannot modify.
It is not a silly question. It is a very important question. It is modifiable. We can modify the subnet. We can modify the subnet. Okay. So that modification, we will that whatever the question that you have asked, for the explanation of that question, I have to take the entire class. Tomorrow we will discuss about that. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
So yeah. So what I am saying here, every IP address 0 to 255. 0 to 255. So what I am saying, in each and every IP address, you will have the numbers ranging from 0 to 255. Now, there is an organization called as INA. What is the name? INA. Internet Assigned Number Authority. So what they have done, first, whenever the network was introduced into the IT world, nobody knows what is the main thing, what network will do. So nobody knows about that. So everybody thought that why we have to use the network, what is it? Now everyone has to have internet. Without internet, no day will be going on. Now what INA has decided here is, okay, so there is huge number of, so as I said that IPv4 is there. Okay, this is well and good. For in IPv4, we are having 32 bits. Now, total number of IPs that are generated, with the IP address is 2 to the power of 32, which is equal to 4.2 billion IP addresses, nearly equivalent to 420 crores of IPs it can generate. IP addresses can generate, IPv4 can generate 420 crores of IPs. Okay, this is well and good. Now, what happened here? INA, at the starting stage, INA has sold each and every IP address is for selling purpose only. They sold each and every IP address. Now, when they are selling, there are some companies which are having some 1,000 computers out there inside a company. And in some companies, there are only 100 computers. And in a very big company, there are somewhere like some 60,000 or 70,000 computers are there. Actually, it is not there, but yes. For example, there is a internet service provider like ACT or Hathway, any. So this internet service provider, they have to provide the IP addresses to the customers. So there will be some lakhs of customers will be there. Now, what I have to do? There are small scale companies, medium scale companies, and there are large scale companies. So INA thought that what I have to do now, then they have came with a plan called as classes. They divided the IP address into several classes. So by dividing the IP address into the classes, they have given this particular range belongs to the large classes, default classes. Those are called as default classes. So that is the first class is class A. So the class A, the subnet mask will be 255.0.0.0. This is the subnet mask of class A. Now, how many devices you can configure in class A is, you can configure 1,67,77,214 devices. Actually 16, but 2 devices will be removed. 2 IP addresses will be removed. Why? I will tell you in the next class. But in class A, you can configure 1,67,77,214 devices. Okay, this is well and good. Now, what is the number that I have to? As you can see, the IP addresses are ranging from 0 to 255, right? When the IP addresses are ranging from 0 to 255, now how to differentiate? In each and every octet, the number will be 0 to 255. Now, how to differentiate that? So for that purpose, what is the solution here is, INR has came with a plan called as first octet rule. First octet rule. What is this first octet rule? First octet rule means INR described that. So you can see here. You can see here in the first octet. So if the total numbers are converted into the network bits, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So the number will be equivalent to 255. So among this, in the first octet, if you convert the first number to 0, so then what is the number that you are going to get? 127. So class A IP addresses belongs to, the class A IP addresses belongs to 0 to 127. As you can see, the IP addresses will be ranging from 0.0.0.0 to 255.255.255. This is the last number. Now, the class A will be in the range of 0 to 127, which means that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the first octet, these numbers will be there up to 127. And second and third octet, it will be completely your wish. You can have 0 to 255. Any number can be there. But in the first octet, if you find out 0 to 127, then the subnet mask will be, this is the default subnet mask which we are assigning to these numbers. So let me show you. I can show you in an example so that you can have clarity. What I am saying, if I assign in the first octet, if I assign a number, let me assign the number here. What is the range that I said? 0 to 127. If I assign an IP address like this, for example, 10.1.255.254. This is the IP address which I am assigning now. And if I click on the subnet mask, see that automatically default subnet mask has been generated. Did I provide the subnet mask? Automatically it has generated. What is that? 255.0.0.0. On which basis this default subnet mask is coming? On this first octet rule basis. In the first octet, I am having 10. So if the IP address is having 10 number, the 10 will be in the range of 0 to 127. In between 0 to 127, I am having 10 number. So my computer will understand that the subnet mask will be 255.0.0.0. So, and the next class is there, class B. And the next class is there, class B. The range is from 255.255.0.0. Inside class B, you can configure 65,534. Actually, 536, 2 IP addresses will be deleted. So in the first octet, if you make the second number as 0, then you are going to get a value. It is 191. So the class B range will be 128 to 191. If the IP address, let me again go back to my IP address. Hold on. I will go back to my adapter and I will try to assign an IP. Let me go to properties, TCP IP version 4. If I go to the properties, here I will give 172. See that when I give one, I did not fill second, third, and fourth octet, but still automatically what is the subnet mask that I am getting? Default subnet mask I am getting as 255.255.0.0. This subnet mask will represent that this IP address is in the range of 128 to 191. So it is in class B range. So the subnet mask which has to be generated is 255.255.0.0. So in class B, how many objects or else how many devices I can connect? 65,000 devices I can connect. So there is another class that is class C. So in class C, the subnet mask will be 255.255.0. So in the first octet, if you convert the third number as 0, then the value you are going to get is 243. So this is the class C range, which means the range will be 192 to 223. And the number of devices here is 256 IPs will be generated. Among 2 IPs will be removed. Total 254 IPs will be generated. Ours 254 devices can be configured inside the class C range. So if you go back again, if I try to assign the IP address to my device over here, so I will go to the properties, use the following IP 223. So 223, right? Yeah, 223. If I go for this, when I click on this, automatically the subnet mask has been generated 255 to 255.0. So the 223 will be in the range of 192 to 200. Also, you can give like 196 also. When you give 196 also, you will get the subnet mask as same. Okay, so but you cannot go beyond 223. If you go 224, what it is saying 224 is not a valid entry. Please specify a value between 1 to 223. So for computers, the main classes, the main numbers you can assign here is 0 to 223 only. For the networking devices, for any devices, you can assign 0 to 223 only. Apart from this, if you assign 224 in the first octet, the computer will not take, not only computer, the servers are also going to be taking that particular IP address. But you are having class D. This class D don't have any subnet mask. Class D will not have any subnet mask. The range is from 224 to 239. This is used for multicasting. You don't require this, but just as there are class D and class E also, I just want to say this. And there is class E. The class E ranges from 240 to 250. These are used for the future purpose and research and development, R&D purpose. We will be using these IPs. So that's about different classes of IP addresses, and for each and every class you will have a default subnet mask. You can change that default subnet mask also. Now if you can see here in class B, the default subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. Now my network engineer came to me, 65,000 devices I cannot manage. You have to shortlist the network, which means that these 65,000 devices has to be divided into small network. This entire very big network, which I am saying here. So this 255 to 55.0.0, this is the subnet mask. For example, now my network engineer has came to me and he asked me that I am giving you a network that is 172.16.0.0 and the subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. This is the default subnet mask which I am giving you here. So total, how many devices you can get? 65,536 devices or 36 IPs it is going to generate. But to manage 65,000 IPs, it is very, very hard task for me. So what you have to do, you have to divide this network into small network for the management purpose. Just try to understand this. If there are some 65,000 employees in a company, there are 65,000 employees in a company, and you are having a single manager for all the employees. Whether it will be very easy for him to, what I can say, to manage all of them, it will be very difficult for the manager. So what he will do, he will divide the employees into small groups, and they will name it as a teams. Either it might be a development team, production team, or else you can go with somewhere like administration team, accounts team. So that the employees will be divided into small networks, all small teams. Now it is very easy for us to manage. In the same manner, this particular IP address where you are having 65,000 devices, it is very hard for the network engineer to manage. But that, what network engineer is saying, I want to divide this network into the small network. How we can divide that into the small network? We'll discuss about this in the next class. Did you understand the topic here? Any confusions? Any questions? Questions?
No question from my side.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything you want to ask me? Okay. If there are no questions, I will stop here. Of course, networking is a pretty tricky subject to understand. Why? Because I will say that you have to imagine this. So there is a very big network. Inside this network, there are so many computers. Among these computers, which computer belong to which computer belong to which network. Why I am stressing this out? Because to understand the VPC configuration, if at all, if I have to say about the VPC configuration without saying the network, it is very simple for me. I will go to the AWS console, and in AWS console, what I will say, do as it is like me. I will say like this. So whatever I am doing, just follow. You don't need to ask me any question. Just as it is, follow the concept. So I will log into my AWS console, and I will ask you to configure a VPC. I will ask you to configure a VPC, and you will configure the VPC. Once you have configured the VPC, what you will do? Let me show you. Where is this? I will go to the VPC. Inside the VPC, what I can do here is I can go with the configuration of VPC. I'll go to the VPC. Create VPC. I will go with somewhere like name of the VPC, and I will forward this do as it is what I am doing. If I say this, and I will go with the /16 value. I will say like this, and if you do the same when you go for the interview, or else when you go to the company, there the engineer or else there the network or cloud associate or else cloud architect will say that create a VPC with the /24. Create a VPC with the /24. First of all, you don't know what is slash value. Then how can you create with /24? He will say that create a VPC with /24 and create 3 subnets in the /24 network. If he says that, what you will do? You will obviously say that my faculty did not say that to create VPC with the /16 value. So I don't know how to create this. If you say this, then that day will be the last day for your work. Okay. So I just want to make sure that why we are providing all these things. If you understand this, then you can go to the concepts. That is the reason why I am stressing you out with the networking concepts. Okay. So that's it. That's all for today. Understand why I am going with the networking concept? Is there any questions?
So recorded video will be sent on Drive, right?
Yes. That is the question. Okay, fine. Yeah, it will be sent.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the class? Okay. I don't find. I think everyone is confused, or else everyone is bored. I don't know. But that's about the networking concept. Tomorrow we will discuss about another concept. That's all for today. Have a nice day. And bye, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions? No questions? Okay. Bye, guys.